Hello everyone! Welcome to part 2 of Pretend to be Sad challenge, and also at the start of 1 or 2 parenting journeys. Let's get into it, shall we? As always, special thanks to my lovely patrons and all of you who subscribe and watch these videos. You're keeping this channel alive and going, thank you very much, and I hope you will enjoy. The main issue Suna faced was he couldn't act at all. He could pretend all he wanted, but it was never good enough to fool anyone, not even Atsumu back in the day, and he was the most gullible person ever. However, at least trying to appear sad was worth it considering the results he could get. Mainly because Osamu could get super attentive with the right nudge, which was something he couldn't miss out on. And so he sat slumped in the back of the onigiri miya, mindlessly staring at Osamu's back as his boyfriend prepared a new batch of onigiri. Maybe it's not so bad. It's not like this could go wrong. At worst, he's going to think I'm needy. Which he was anyway. However, for the longest while, it seemed like Osamu barely registered his presence, much less noticed his albeit acted sadness. Sighing, he laid his chin on the table, thinking what else could he do to turn Osamu's attention to him. Typical. I should have waited until we got home. Here he's only focused on the onigiri and shop. He almost started to feel disgruntled when a plate full of rice balls landed in front of him. You're going to melt here like this. Huh? You're already sprawled over the table. It's just a question of time before you turn into a puddle. He sat down opposite Suna, pushing the plate closer to him. What's wrong? You look like back then when you had a losing streak. You remember that? Of course. I've never seen you so down. His face softened as he reached over the table to caress Suna's hand. Something going on? Suna sighed, now feeling a bit bad for the whole challenge. Still, he reached for the onigiri, feeling as if life returned into his body with the first bite. It's fine. I guess it's the upcoming spring. Okay. You don't have to talk about it now, but I'm here if you want to, I know. Thank you. By the way, did the outlets start to work again, or... This time, it was Osamu who sighed, reaching for one of the rice balls himself. Nope, not a spark. I don't know what's wrong. The electrician is going to start thinking I'm crazy if this is about to continue. So what? It's his job to check it and make sure it works. Despite his annoyed tone, he barely had the shivers running down his spine with the reminder of the several small fires they had to put out in the last 2 weeks. The damage was never horrible, but just the fact their outlets and appliances started to randomly catch on fire was disturbing. What if something went up in flames when Osamu was close? What if something straight up exploded? Osamu's heart was already weakened by the previous shock. What if it wouldn't withstand another one? Rin, hey, it's alright. Suna flinched, realizing his hands were shaking and his breath shortened considerably, almost matching the wild beating of his heart. Sorry, I'm worried about you. There's something weird going on. You gotta be careful. Smiling softly, Osamu leaned in for a kiss. I am, I promise. It was somewhat strange to purposefully make Oikawa think he was sad after everything going on in the last 2 months, though Iwaizumi supposed he didn't have to be too worried. Since they talked about them and their relationship last time he did a challenge, things started to look much brighter again. Sure, they weren't back on the content wave, but it was getting better. In a way, it reminded him of the time just before Oikawa was supposed to leave for Argentina. Feels like ages since then. However, the comparison gave him an idea. He didn't have to go overboard. After all, he didn't want to scare Oikawa in any way. That would be too much. But it could be nice to see if Oikawa's ability to sense out his emotions was still as sharp as before. And so he shifted his behavior that evening, waiting for Oikawa to notice. They went through cooking dinner and eating without a word from Oikawa in regards to the change of atmosphere. They settled in front of the TV later on, and Iwaizumi already wanted to be disappointed when Oikawa turned to him with concern, almost screaming from his posture. Say, is everything alright? You've been so quiet tonight. Did something happen? Somewhat relieved to be proven wrong, Iwaizumi tilted his head. No, everything is fine. Why? I don't know, it feels off. I don't know how to call it. I thought maybe something happened at work. You usually get quiet like this when you have trouble with some kid. He paused, a look Iwaizumi didn't like one bit appearing in his eyes. Or is it because of me? Did I do something again? I'm sorry if I did. I'll make it better again if you tell me what it was, I promise. Hey, shh, it's fine. Settle down. It's not your fault. Are you sure? You can't spare my feelings all the time. Not now. With his heart aching, Iwaizumi pulled him into his arms to stop the panicked blabbering, stealing a kiss from him just to drill the message home. It wasn't like he didn't know Oikawa was affected hard by the recent situation, but he didn't realize it was this bad. I promise it's not your fault. I'm sorry, I know I shouldn't bring work home, but I can't help it sometimes. So it is school related? Yeah, there's this kid I'm not sure what to do with. Super athletic, but grumpy as heck and without any regard to teamwork. Apparently calmed by that, Oikawa chuckled and melted in his arms, returning the hug. Who does that remind me of, huh? Come on, don't tell me you can't work with another mad pup. He snuggled under Iwaizumi's chin, almost purring with happiness when Iwaizumi combed his fingers through his hair, the whole scene reminding him of the best times they had. Just give it time. Maybe someone like Haba-chan will eventually come around. And I'll have to deal with another dumbass unable to spit out his feelings. You are the one to talk. How long did it take you to confess, huh? Why didn't you confess first when I took so long, huh? Because I didn't want to mess up our friendship. Duh. Why do you think I hesitated so much? Well, that's different. You never looked like you loved me as more than a friend. He smiled then, his face soft when he looked up. But I already forgave you. Rolling his eyes as the only response, Iwaizumi kissed him again before he let his head to rest on his chest, enjoying the familiar moment of closeness he missed so much. What started as a challenge turned real so fast Aone didn't even manage to react. Just read the message that just arrived on his phone again and again, letting the dull disappointment slowly seep into his body. We regret to inform you that unfortunately we are unable to accept you into the program right now. Thank you for your interest. We will keep in touch if the situation changes. He knew the message almost from the top of his head right now. Yet another rejection despite the promising first round. It was truly saddening. The only thing he wanted to do was to help some poor kid escape the social care system, and while he understood there had to be some checks for the sake of the children, he had no illusions that the main reason behind the rejections was his relationship with Kenji. As if having a loving home with 2 dads was somehow worse than living in a broken family or children's home. But the bureaucracy was the way it was, and he couldn't do anything about it but wait and hope. Maybe it's better we still didn't get into the program. Kenji still doesn't look very sure about having a kid. He was surprised when Kenji agreed to try adopting a child about a month ago. His reaction when Aone brought it up the first time was still engraved into his memory, and even after that, Kenji seemed more shaken about the idea than excited. Yet, even after so long, Aone still couldn't figure out why. He didn't want to push his fiancée to answer, but he knew that eventually he would have to put his foot down if they were about to raise a child. Nobu, come on, don't ignore me. Aone froze mid-step, guilty when he noticed Kenji rushing behind him, already out of breath and looking rather worried. I'm sorry, I didn't notice you. Ouch! I've been calling you for the last 5 minutes. I'm sorry. He pulled Kenji to his chest as a silent apology, lifting him ever so slightly to help him ease some weight from his knee. It's fine, but don't make me run after a shift, okay? I'm already dead. What's so heavy on your mind you didn't hear me? His face fell as the silence stretched. What's wrong? Did someone say something stupid to you again? I'll take care of it if yes, I promise. No one will insult my fiancé and get away with it. Aone cracked a small smile with his words, leaning down to kiss his forehead. Thank you, but it's not that. Then what it's about? I haven't seen you this down for years. With a heavy sigh, Aone handed him his phone with the message on display, watching for Kenji's reaction before he inwardly scolded himself. Even if he was relieved, so what? He has the right to choose his life. Oh, I'm sorry. Did they tell you why? I really thought we had it this time. It went so well in that interview. No, just this. He didn't voice his guess, but the way Kenji's face suddenly shifted into much more guilty, much more scared, told him Kenji came to the same conclusion. It's because I'm around, isn't it? If we weren't together... No, stop. It's not your fault. But... It's not. I bet they would complain I'm single if we weren't together. Nothing would change. You wouldn't have to be single, though. Feeling his heart slowly breaking, Aone pulled him back into a hug, mentally cursing himself for not reacting in time again. You're the only one for me. If you weren't with me, I would stay single. Come, let's go home. It's going to work out somehow. Trying to recall how exactly he acted when he was sad, Kindaichi slowly made his way home after visiting his physiologist. In all fairness, what the doctor told him about the state of his leg was enough to throw him into a slump, but he wasn't really sad because of it, just worried and disappointed. More importantly, Aki will freak out when he hears I won't be able to walk without help for at least another month. Damn it. What are you punishing me for, universe? For not being there for Aki? Yeah, fair, but how am I supposed to be there for him now when I can barely walk? He threw a glare at no one in particular and carried on dragging his feet home when he was startled by an incoming call. Quietly cursing the crutches and his clumsiness, he settled on a nearby bench with a pained sigh and called back, trying to quickly think of some excuse for his quickened breathing and bad mood. It was better he told Kunimi face to face. I'm heading home, don't worry. Oh, alright. You should have called me, or at least sent a message you'll be late. Sorry, I didn't think of it. Or, well, I didn't think it would take me so long to make you worried. A heavy sigh sounded from the other end, reminding Kindaichi that Kunimi had been a pile of nerves recently. It's fine. At least I know you are okay now. Should I prepare something for lunch in the meantime? Okay. Don't. I'm careful, remember? I'm not a kid you would have to look out for just because I use a knife. Yeah, and how it ended last time, huh? He didn't need to see Kunimi to know he flinched, the image sending an arrow of guilt through his chest. After all, it was his fault. The life-threatening factor of the situation happened because he played on hurt pride and wasn't at home when it counted. Sorry, that was mean. You still haven't forgiven me? Shouldn't I be the one asking that? I have nothing to forgive you. It wasn't your fault. For a while, no one said anything. As the silence stretched, Kindaichi fidgeted on the bench a bit, his mind racing to find a way to shift the topic elsewhere. How about we order something today? We didn't get takeout for a while. I guess. Okay, I'll order something. But head home straight away, alright? Of course. Love you. I love you too. The call ended rather abruptly, but Kindaichi wasn't really surprised, just disappointed in himself. He couldn't believe he still managed to hurt his fiancée this easily, even after the numerous promises he would be careful and keep his tongue in check. With a frustrated groan, he slowly collected himself to his feet, determined to keep at least one promise when he couldn't keep up with the most important ones. Serves you right you can't walk. It would be a fair punishment if it wasn't inconveniencing Kunimi too. Why is it always like this? He froze suddenly, at first not sure what halted his step. It wasn't another person. He would notice that since he was completely alone on the street, the only sounds being the distant rumbling of trains. And yet, chills ran down his spine when he heard a quiet cry, barely loud enough for his ears to catch, coming from one of the many side alleys he walked by. A ghost? He mentally slapped himself for being stupid and carefully followed after the sound until he arrived to one of surely many dumpsters around here. The crying was louder now, leaving him even further between the old houses. This is freaky. Yet he continued forward, unable to just turn around and leave when someone or something apparently needed help. He bent to a pile of trash bags a bit aside, his heart racing yet clenched at the same time. He moved the closest one aside, and his blood ran cold when, among the trash, He spotted a small body still covered in bodily grime, moving but too pale and quiet for his liking. Shit. He tore his jacket down and wrapped the baby in it to hopefully warm him up, digging around his pocket for his phone to call ambulance. It seemed like he wasn't going to arrive home on time after all. No matter how much Asahi strained his brain, he wasn't entirely sure what exactly happened between them. Sure, their vastly different personalities brought an occasional argument along, but all in all, it never took too long for the situation to calm down. Not this time, though. Getting caught coward by his own fiancée stung, but a more confused Asahi was. Sure, he was used to Noya calling him a wimp back in high school, but ever since they started dating, he hadn't heard a single bad word on his person from Noya's mouth. I wonder what pushed him over the edge. It wasn't the first time he had refused to do something he deemed too dangerous on their joint vacation, and there never was a problem with it. So why there was now? What changed? Well, won't figure it out unless I ask him. But he doesn't want to talk. With a heavy sigh, he returned to his sketchbook, trying in vain to focus on the new dress design he was working on for one of his favorite clients. However, he barely managed to focus on the pencil, much less coming up with new ideas. He didn't even have to pretend for the challenge in the end. He startled a bit when the door of his office creaked quietly, but managed to stay still and just listened as the hushed footsteps almost hesitantly approached. Asahi? His voice was so tiny, Asahi's breath stilled for a moment, and it took all his remaining willpower to not turn around. Yes? I just wanted to check if you need anything. You've been here for several hours already, so I thought... Are you mad at me? That wasn't the question as I expected. Me? You looked mad before. Small hitched breath followed by quiet shuffling of feet sounded behind his back, though he wasn't sure if Noya stepped back or forward. But it was an opportunity to figure out what happened. Why did you get so upset? Because it's not that bad and... I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. No longer able to stay still, Asahi turned around and pulled Noya into a hug in one smooth motion, feeling his shoulders trembling with repressed sobs. I'm sorry I called you a coward. I didn't mean it, I swear. You... It just sounded like you didn't trust me and that you think I would drag you into danger on purpose. He looked up, his eyes glossed over. I would never suggest anything that would put you in danger. I know, but that wasn't what you meant, I know. I know you are just careful and those things aren't for you. And it's fine, it really is, I swear. I was just being selfish and not thinking about your opinion at all. I'm sorry. With a soft sigh, as I kissed his forehead and pulled him on his lap and under his chin, relieved that it wasn't anything serious in the end. They could work this out, just like so many times before. Should we get back to planning now? I promise I'll be cheering you on if you decide to go gliding. A wet chuckle escaped Noya's mouth as he snuggled deeper into Asahi's embrace. Deal. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. So I added one more parenting journey, which I hinted on quite a long time ago. Yes, for Aofuta. Not sure where I'm heading with this one, but I'm forming a plan for all of them actually. So no worries, Kyohaba will get their parenting journey at some point in the future, and we will see about the others. Also, if you are curious about the schedule for the next month or so, there's a community post talking about that, so you can check it out. If you have any requests or ideas, the request form is linked in the video description. See you next time!